Hi, I'm Steve Shelburne, owner and operator of Shelburne RV here in beautiful Cleveland, Tennessee. Well, we're back here on a Monday morning. I'm a little late getting my video going. We've had quite a bit going on this morning. It's been wild this morning. So, got a bunch going on. You can see Mr. Brandon right there. He's been running like a madman today also. So, got an Invisa Shield that we're going to be doing this morning. I'll show you that. Got a Winnebago down here that we're doing a Seal Tech on. And then the EMA truck has come in, emergency management. We got a generator, some power issues with that. We're going to be tearing into that here. Mr. Lewis will be here in just a few minutes, and then we'll show you what's going on with that. So let's go check some of this stuff out. Another project that Mr. Lewis is starting on here today. The local emergency management organization has got a command post vehicle that we worked on several times before. And it's interesting because this vehicle, they actually have a picture of this thing sitting in front of the Pentagon on 9/11. So they bought it. This is their command post. They had some generator problems, and so the board went out on the generator, had an older generator. Now this is 93 model, 94 model. And the generator burned up, so they had another generator put in, and as soon as they got the new generator in, it's just loading up like it's got a dead short to ground. Let me show you something in here that I found that I don't like that we're going to change. So one thing that we had in here, and again, remember this is 90s technology. This is obviously the breaker panel for all the 120. It doesn't have a breaker box like a traditional RV does. Now, they had this switch in here that would transfer from shore to generator power, and we believe the problem is in this. This thing seems to have a dead short to ground, and this mechanism's all moving inside there. So we're going to do away with this and go with a traditional 50 amp transfer switch like the RV industry uses nowadays. Now the problem is we've got to figure out where the shore power and the generator power come in. Now we've taken this panel off right here, and here's some cables. Now we're not sure what that's feeding. The problem now comes into is you can see these are the wires right here for that switch, and they go back here to a box that's mounted behind this pedestal that's got all the breakers and wires. So we've got to get this pulled back enough that we can see what is going on back there, because ideally what I'd like to do is come in here, and if we can identify which one of these is the shore and generator wire, I'd like to mount the transfer switch down in here, and then that way they don't have to mechanically do anything. If they turn the generator on, it'll automatically transfer. If they plug it up shore power, there won't be no issues with this anymore, which we believe is the problem. So obviously a little bit of older technology in there, and so we're going to get down to trying to find the ends of those wires, and then go in there and unterminate them, and then we'll terminate the power on the generator. Because the new generator does run and runs correctly. It's just loading up really bad, like it's got a dead short. So we're going to get all that done and retest, and then see about the transfer switch. But you can see there's a little bit involved in getting all that pulled apart to try to figure it out. And of course, there's no information that we've been able to find on it, so we just got to dive in and go. One of the next projects in here, 2013 Newbar Baystar. And you can see this one definitely has got the ugly shield on it. So we're going to be into this today, getting this knocked out. You can see how nasty that shield has turned out. Again, this is the original shield that was on here, so You can see how bad, but the boys will be starting on that here very shortly. So we went ahead and powered this up. Now you can see this main breaker right here. They originally had line 1 and line 2 coming in on the same breaker, and then they had grounds over here on this one. So we reutilized this breaker, and then I split. This is half the coach, this is the other half of the coach, and so I split this where line 1's here, line 2's here, and now we've got all the power we need for this thing. And Lewis has actually already ran this. Before, they couldn't even get this thing to run. It was just a dead short. We are at least running it now. We've got power to the air conditioners. We've got everything powered up. So it's just got to put everything back as it goes. Now let me show you what we're doing with the 50 amp plug. So originally the 50 amp came in right there and it fed up the wall and over there to the box. Now, I don't want to do that because I want to put you guys saw where I put my transfer switch back there in that cabinet. So the wires from the generator feed into that transfer switch. So Mr. Lewis is going to put the 50 amp right here, and then we're only going to utilize one line going back up there instead of having 2 lines. So this is going to work out real nice. Like I said, we've already run it, and it runs good. Generator's off, shore power's on. So transferring correctly now. Lewis has got the transfer switch set up in there. And we were having some feedback with the generator on the safety ground, and this was actually reading about 154 volts on line 1 and 88 on line 2. We got the neutrals under control, safety ground under control, and you can see it's reading correctly now. So everything's on its own main breaker now where you can kill it or turn it back on. And then line 1, line 2. So Lewis has just got to put the panel back on, put that panel back on, and he's got this done. All right, so we've got this one all finished up. You can see we added the shore cable right there, and it's transferring between shore and generator. Now again, it's been a few years, but now it's updated like the normal 50 amp campers are nowadays. So problem solved on that one. All right, next project. You can see behind me, 2008 Prevost Legacy built out by Country Coach. Now, this gentleman's in from Texas, and as you can see, this is a beautiful bus. And it does have both the older style Coleman basement airs in it. These are the same ones they used in Alphas, as you guys know. Country Coach was very good about using these also. Now, the gentleman was telling me, you know, that this thing has never really cooled down in Texas. It's been real hot down there. Never has really worked good since he's owned it. He's owned it a couple of years. So we're just pulling the basement airs out today, and I'm going to do some look at it. But let me show you what Lewis found as he got into this, and this will explain a lot of reasons why this thing has not been cooling correctly. So as you can see, Mr. Lewis has got all the bezel tore out of here, and you know, this was up in here. We had to pull this out, and then we're looking at the tape job. You know, are we getting the return correctly? Is it working correct? Is it doing what it's doing? Look what we found in there. So basically what was happening was all the cold air that was going back up to the coach was being kicked out in here. And so there was no cooling return in here. So that's a problem. All right, another Ultimate Freedom with ugly shield removal. And you can see this one here is definitely got problems. So we're gonna be working on removing that today to get it off there and pretty this thing up. So here's the first unit Lewis got out of this Prevost, and this was the one that had all the ductwork was blowed out. The capacitor on this one was dead, so the fan wasn't working. You can see it's still spinning where he just test run it. The unit number 2 had a bad outdoor fan motor, so it was locked up. Of course, we updated the bearing on this one and the other one to the new style bearings. So at this point, I mean, everything looks good. So we're gonna go ahead and put power on them and run them and see what they do. So Mr. Lewis has tested this one. This is the one that had the bad outdoor fan motor. That rascal is awesome. This one, on the other hand, that had the duct blown out in it, and obviously that had a lot of water in there. Compressor 2 has no charge. Compressor 1 is running good, but compressor 2 has no charge. So we're going to get the tap welded on it, get it pressurized up with some nitrogen, and see what we got. Here's a 6535A that Lewis just pulled out for cleaning. Customer said it works all right, but it just wasn't cooling. I wonder why. Mr. Lewis is working on another basement air that came out of a Winnebago Sun Cruiser, wasn't it, Lewis? Yes, sir. So 6535. Customer complaint was that the fan motor's been making some crazy noises. So we're going to dive into what's going on here, but this is something that, you know, again, I don't like. This is wrong. This is wrong. And so the problem with that is, you know, this guy brought this in for service. He wants it to work. I'm going to tell him it's going to work, and then those taps are going to leak, and then he's going to be mad at me because I put my name on it now and somebody else's crap. So in the best interest of the customer and how much time it takes to pull this out and how much time it does to do this, we're going to pull those taps out, recover that Refreon, pull those taps out, braze in the right tap, and in that way, when we know it leaves, that it ain't gonna leak, because that's gonna leak, and you know, we know it's gonna leak, and if I do all this work, then this guy's gonna say, well, why did it don't work? So we're gonna resolve that by doing that. Look who just walked through the door.
Hello.
Hey Gary, show them what you got on them. Turn around, model that for us. If you don't have one of those, you can get one from us. They don't cost that much, but you gotta have a Cousin Gary approved T-shirt. Ain't that right?
Yes, you do.
See there? All right, so basically what we did was we pulled the Freon out, and I went ahead and put taps on this one because I don't know why somebody put taps on here. Was it leaking? Did they just think it was low charge? Much of a pain is this to get out. What Lewis and I did was we actually just put we ran them in here and put the taps in right here. That way, if there was ever a problem, we could take it down and charge it from here. I don't see anything that looks like it's leaking, but I don't know why they did what they did. So again, I don't know why they did that. It doesn't make no sense to me. But we're going to do that just in case we got a problem, and that way don't have to pull this unit out. You know, I don't know. I've never done that before, but we're going to try it and see how it works out. So a little bit of an experiment on our part. All right, so we got this one all done. Now, it had some places where the paint came off with the shield. You know, sometimes that does happen. They were as gentle as they could, but ultimately it looks 100% better than what it was. Definitely some chips and that one there's a chip, rock chip. So, and then that place right there was actually spots where they had cut it with a knife when they put the Invisishield on, and the paint came off with that. But definitely 100 times better than what it was. It was really ugly. All right, so they've got this Newmar, got the front end all done. You saw how ugly that shield was on this one. It cleaned up very, very nicely. We even buffed out the headlights on that one. So this one cleaned up very good. This is a nice looking coach. So we did find out that this one here on the second stage 2, actually had no Freon in it. Now, I loaded it up with about 400 PSI of nitrogen, and overnight the gauge just barely fell. So it must have a super slow leak somewhere. So we did go ahead and put some stop leak in the system before we charged it, but I also put the charge tap on the outside right there. So that way later on in Texas, if Mr. Roy needed to be able to get some Freon in there, they could do that without having to pull this completely out of this Prevost. So that doesn't happen very often. I mean, normally we can find the leak, and that system that runs at 300 PSI, when you put 400 PSI of nitrogen in there, usually you're pretty good to find the problem. So we were unable to do that, but obviously with the stop leak and then you know, putting the tap on there, that should make that a little better, but that's just the way it goes. So we'll be doing the install on that one next week when he comes back. Well, as you can see, we had quite a bit going on this week. Lots and lots of basement airs. My wife just told me we're actually booked out on basement airs till the second week of January. So thanks guys for watching. You know, a lot of y'all been bringing them in here. We've been getting them turned around and fixed for you. So we're glad to do it. We're glad to make all the new friends we do with the basement airs. So you saw what we had going on quite a bit. Got a lot on our plate coming up next week. Cousin Gary actually had to leave a little bit early today, so he's gone. So thanks for watching. I appreciate all the comments from last week. You know, a lot of you guys have run into the same situations that we run into with some of the Lippert products, but it is what it is. So thanks for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribe. And remember, this video is Cousin Gary approved. Y'all take care.